One of the best parts of Vedic astrology is the use of the divisional charts. The divisional charts, the Vargas as they're called, are not separate charts like we typically think of them. When we are looking at the Vargas or the divisional charts on our computer software program, or if we've learned how to draw them out and to calculate them, those charts that we see, those are visual representations which give us an idea of what's going on with a particular planet related to a particular area of life. Now, an astrologer who has memorized the formulas for the Vargas doesn't necessarily need those visual representations. That's why when someone sees a planet at a particular degree in a particular sign, if they've learned those formulas for the Vargas, for the divisional charts, they already know what that planet is doing in the Hora, in the Drekana, in the Saptamsha, in the Navamsa, in the Dasamsha, and so on. And so when they have that information, that helps to refine what they're seeing in the birth chart. And this is what's most important to understand about the Vargas, is that they are refining what is within the birth chart. You have to look at the birth chart on its own first to figure out what are the karmas that are indicated by the placement of planets in signs, by the placements of planets in houses, house lords and houses, using the particular avashtas, using dignity, using shadbala. And this is one of the things that we cover in the astrological apprenticeship course, and there's a reason we don't necessarily go into Vargas until we get beyond year 1 and year 2. Because you have to have that foundational information about what's going on in the chart. What is the story that's being told or illustrated for you from the birth chart? And those are also going to be things related to bhava yogas, which again are simply the ideas of you have the second lord in the 7th house, or you have the 7th lord in the 2nd house. Well, there could be an emphasis of spouse and partner being involved in your finances, in helping to manage your resources. So that's a kind of specific life experience that the bhava yogas give. And then you would use dignity, you would use shadbala to see how strong is that particular karma. And then you would use lajatati avashtas to see how are planets helping or hurting that bhava yoga lord, to see is there going to be something that counteracts the influence of that bhava yoga, that particular karma, or is there something that helps to strengthen it? And once you have that information, then you can see how it relates to other areas of life, such as the Navamsa, the 9th divisional chart, which deals with our capacity to act with a sense of purpose. And again, most people's purpose tends to be towards marriage, to have children, to promote society, to support society, and continue on the species. That is a lot of what most of us are here to do. So that's one of the reasons why the Navamsa is often related to the idea of marriage. But really it's about our purpose and our dedication to our purpose and how well we can manifest that purpose. So if we have a particular bhava lord, bhava yoga lord, giving a kind of karma as represented by that bhava yoga, and we qualify it through the avashtas, through shadbala, through dignity, then we take that planet and see what's going on with it in the Navamsa, to see how much of a role does this play in the person's sense of purpose and direction in life, and how well are they going to be able to manifest that. If we want to see how prominent something is going to be in someone's life that's going to either get them involved in the world or be known in the world or have activity and status in the world, oftentimes we'll see how certain bhava lords, bhava yoga lords, how they're situated within the Dasamsha, which deals with this. So the Dasamsha and the placement of a particular planet in the Dasamsha, or the D10, will tell us, generally speaking, how active will that planet be in regards to the karma that we share that impacts the world. And so each Varga, each divisional chart, plays a role in this way. The D30, which is often related to health, Well, it deals with our capacity to, well, experience and navigate misfortunes, but it can also show our capacity to overcome difficulties. And so if we have a difficult planet in the Rashi chart, the D1, and we want to see, well, how well or with how much poise will someone work through and integrate this issue, well, we'll see where does that planet go in the D30. If we want to see how well or how much does this experience contribute to a person's sense of purpose, we'll look at that planet in the D9. And this is important to realize that all of these Vargas are not separate from the birth chart. They're not individual charts in and of themselves. They give us a deeper sense of understanding about what's actually going on in the chart, in the Rashi, which is the chart of our path, those things that we're going to experience. For example, a really wonderful book, Sarvarta Chintamani. I haven't found any commentaries on Sarvarta Chintamani that come to mind, but that book itself, it's one of the texts that I recommend for the astrological apprenticeship course, because it gives these little bits of information, these little keys, these little clues where it shows, okay, the planet is here in the birth chart, but it's here in the Navamsa, or it's here in the Dasamsa. And what that text is doing is it's giving us little glimpses, little bits of information to show us how the Vargas actually work. For more information on this, you can find Sarvarta Chintamani. I think it's probably still available on Amazon. That's where I got my copy. There's also 2 courses at AshevilleVedicAstrology.com on the Navamsa and Dasamsa. And also there's one of my favorite courses which deals with unlocking the Vargas. It's at AshevilleVedicAstrology.com under the downloadable courses tab, or the downloadable courses section. So if you really want to gain insights into what these Vargas are all about, you need to get a sense of what they are. So you can find those 2 courses at AshevilleVedicAstrology.com under the downloadable courses or downloadable courses tab. You can read Sarvarta Chintamani. I believe I discuss in both the Art and Science of Vedic Astrology, Volume 1 and Volume 2, how planets function related to each Varga, and also the ways that Vargas are calculated. So number 1, what I would say is start to memorize the formulas of how the Vargas are calculated. Again, please see the Art and Science of Vedic Astrology, Volume 1, the Art and Science of Vedic Astrology, Volume 2. So you got to memorize that first. Or if you want, you can go straight to the source of Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra. That's a good source to figure out how Vargas are calculated. Get that down first. Then what you do is you start to get a sense of what the planets mean in each Varga and how they relate back to the birth chart. And the final thing I want to say about that is that when you're looking at a sign, there's a reason that these astrological texts say that signs are 30 degrees of space. 30 degrees of space, exactly 30 degrees of space. There are 12 signs, 12 times 30 makes up a circle, which is 360 degrees. So each sign is exactly 30 degrees of space. And they say sometimes that the word Rashi, which is the term that they use for signs, they say that it's related to a heap, and they'll say that it's related to a heap of stars. And that's a misconception. That's an old way of looking at it. It's not a heap of stars. It's a collection of degrees, because it's the degrees that are most important. That's why the first 15 degrees are related to a particular Varga. The first 3 degrees are related to a particular Varga. Each section of each sign gives us more details about that. That's why Mars in Aries doesn't function the same. Everyone's Mars in Aries doesn't function the same unless it's the exact degree. Because if it's at 29 degrees, it's going to be in a different Hora, a different Navamsa, a different Dasamsa, and so on, than say if that planet was at 3 degrees of Aries. So what the beauty of the Vargas is, they show us very specifically what a planet is doing. What a planet is doing specific to the individual based on the degree. And then after you can actually read a chart, then it allows you to break it down into, well, how prominent is this karma going to be in their activity in life? You look at the Dasamsha. How much sense of purpose and direction, or lack thereof, is this person going to derive from this planetary position? You look at the Navamsa. What kind of energetic exchange or even monetary exchange will you find, or sense of fulfillment will you find through this particular karma? You look at the Hora and the Chaturtamsha, the D2, the D4. What kinds of difficulties or problems will this person have to overcome to manifest this? You look at the D30. And you can go on. There's many divisional charts. Usually I stick to the lower ones unless I've done a rectification on a chart, because many of these Vargas change very rapidly as the time gets more fine, smaller increments of time. So again, this is one way you need to start considering the Vargas, and they're very important, and they can fill in a lot of things that you think you miss. For example, sometimes you'll read a chart, and if you haven't looked at certain Vargas, you'll make a statement and it ends up not being true. And you just can't figure out why, because from the Rashi itself, it looks like this should be accurate, this should be true. But if you are able to look into and understand how the Vargas work, it helps to clarify that for you. And that's why the subject of twins is so important, because many times twins are born very close together, but twins, while they'll have a lot of similarities, can have radically different lives. And that's going to come down to these incremental movements of a planet just within a degree or minutes or so on, or even the ascendant as well. So consider this. And again, if you want a lot more detailed information, please look at Unlocking the Vargas, that class at AshevilleVedicAstrology.com, and also the class on the Navamsa and the Dasamsha, the downloadable courses section of AshevilleVedicAstrology.com. Okay.